All right. We're about to dig deep into the markets. It's your boy Petty Pips, and we're off. So we're starting on the dollar index, and we've been at this monthly level, right? I say monthly, I'm on the weekly, but we've been at this level before, and it's rejected every time since December 2016. We had rejection here, and really it's pretty much held under this weekly. It closed 1 week above it, and then the next week it closed below it. Usually that's a sign of, reversal. But with the fundamentals that are in play, with the amount, just like the pure trend that's going on with this, we were actually thinking that this was going to break. To be honest, we were thinking that this was going to break. We understood that it could pull back, and we still believe that it can break, but we understood that it could do this first and then move up. But we just had the feeling that since there were so many people looking at this level, that it was just going to bust right through it pretty much. Maybe come back and retest and go, but it's not doing that. So we need to kind of, I guess, really see if this is going to stay under this level kind of right here. And even, we can put this level wherever we want to put it, right? It's like clearly under this level. So we're going to go on to the monthly just to see how this is going to possibly close in a week. And that's, a sign of reversal. What I was thinking, and still have a possible thought on, we're going to go on to the daily, is that if this type of a trend is going to reverse, a big weekly trend is going to reverse, I would think there would be some type of double top or some type of more than just hit it once and drop, right? I'm trying to bring this on. So it kind of just hits it and drops. I am thinking there's going to be some type of another test up here at the very, very least. In fact, if this thing is really going to drop, then it almost has to. So here's how I'm going to play the dollar, basically. We can bring up some indicators right here to kind of help see what I'm seeing, right? So what I'm trying to say is, regardless, I think it's going to end up getting back into this 103.5 level at the least. Maybe even come up and test these highs up here, right? And if you hold down shift, it'll straighten that line. So those are the two kind of areas that I'm looking at for the dollar to get back to. When is it going to get back to it? I'm not sure. Yesterday's candle was completely bearish. It did give kind of lighter volume. And real quick, I want to kind of confirm that on the futures market. No. Okay, so this is, wow, great example of why the futures market is probably giving a better sign than this random ass broker. So the volume feed that you get sent to you, or any feed, anything on here, is from this broker, right? And this is one of the biggest brokers in the US. This broker that I'm using for this dollar is the only broker on TradingView that gives you live volume feed without having to pay for it. The futures volume is delayed by 10 minutes, and you can see right here, data is delayed, and it's just delayed by 10 minutes. But a daily candle, I don't care if it's delayed by 10. I don't even care if an hourly candle sometimes is delayed by 10 minutes, especially not a 4-hour candle, right? So that's the higher time frames. We come onto the futures chart to kind of confirm what we're seeing, right? And so if I'm looking at the volume, right, the volume's kind of low right now. It's decreasing on this kind of contraction phase. And it's kind of done that on every flag it's made, right? It's kind of gotten lower volume, but what I'm looking at right here is this daily candle and how it did increase in volume, right? In fact, it kind of increased more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 days. So, and we had a downtick in momentum, and we had a downtick in the RSI, broke through the 50 line, broke through structure. So the momentum looks bearish, right? When we go over to the 4 hour, we can start to see that there is a little bit of bullish divergence here on the RSI, or on the MACD, sorry, right? And it's not the best, but it's there, it's definitely there. And then the RSI though is not creating the divergence. We are pointing up, we're starting to get out of that. What I think could maybe happen is to kind of really confirm the move up on the dollar. If this can get out of the, oversold territory and then come back down and make a move like this and kind of hook up, kind of form this inverted head and shoulders on the RSI while price kind of maybe makes a lower low, that would really confirm, 4 hour divergence is there. And then the 4 hour divergence on the RSI would be there as well. That to me would be a really good confirmation that this 1, 2, 3, maybe a little deeper 3 would be kind of getting ready to then head back into this area. So are we going to try to time it down here? If it does that, maybe, maybe we'll try to take it up there. But right now, the daily candle, that's tough to try to buy against. You know what I'm saying? So let me kind of erase some of this stuff right here. All right, and let's go to the, stay right here. We'll stay right here. I want to bring this fib into play though, right? So this is where the market could come all the way down into there. And did I delete that weekly level? Why is it not showing up on my daily? I thought I already did that, huh? All right, so yeah, it could come all the way down into 100.5. Some people are probably going to draw their fib like this even, and it's getting really close. So regardless, I don't have like all the fib settings on there. It's probably at the 38.2 right now. And that's in a really impulsive market, that's where it stops at. It doesn't have to go all the way to the 61.8 like I like it to, right? So it's right here at the 38.2. It could explode. If I'm taking it from this wick, it's almost at the 61.8. It could explode. So shorting it here is not an option. Not an option. And the reason why I'm going so much in depth on the dollar is because it's in a really interesting spot. And if we can kind of grasp where the dollar is truly at right now, then we'll really be able to take advantage of this week. Because this week, blinding, we have a lot of news. FOMC meeting minutes, they're basically going to go, it gives you a detailed description about what they spoke about last week or the week before. Regardless, people look into that a little bit deeper and it gives them a little bit more insight. So people are waiting on that. People are definitely waiting on the prelim GDP. That is big. Every quarter it comes out and they're expecting a negative quarter, 2 in a row. So if you have 2 negative GDPs in a row, that is considered a recession. And for some reason, I thought it was negative last month, but it's not giving me all the data. Or yeah, I guess not. regardless, they're expecting it to be bad. We already kind of been talking about a bad market. So, and then we have a core PCE price index, month over month. That happens every month. I don't really expect it to do much. Then the next week, you know, we have NFP. So we're trying to figure out what the dollar is going to do before the news. Trying to position ourselves before the news even gets there, right? So here we are on the dollar. There is, you know, 1 hour. We have like the divergence that I want to happen on the 4 hour is happened on the 1 hour, right? We made a little bit of lower low. We pushed up right there instead, and then it's pushing up. So it definitely could move to the upside here, no doubt. And then once.
Oh shit! Are y'all in Bitcoin?
We're about to be, bro. We're on the dollar. We're gonna get into Bitcoin next. I'm not even gonna mess with. No, I'm gonna mess with forex first, and then I'll get into it. But expectations for the dollar, honestly, tomorrow is probably just gonna come up. Maybe it'll sit here for the full day. Next day, I probably think it's gonna come down. So I'm looking for something like that on the DXY, to be honest. Even though there's already kind of the 3 waves that I want to see. Okay, so here's how I'm gonna play it. I ain't playing shit until tomorrow morning. So it's gonna be either I'm playing the divergence fib here. I'm playing this divergence fib down here, like so. Off that. If it's still diverged by New York, which it shouldn't be. This is the 15-minute, right? So if we get a move like this though, boom, out of this, I'm gonna expect kind of something like this out, boom. That's gonna be one scenario. If it kind of just does something like this, maybe, I'm gonna have to look for shorts here. If it does all of this and then ends up down here before I wake up, then I'm probably going to try to look for some type of 4 hour, some type of divergence play to bring it back up here. The moral of the story is I don't really want to try to short it unless it comes all the way back up here, basically. I guess I could draw this. And how I'm playing it is I want the 4 hour to give me some divergence on the RSI. Let's see if I have a divergence fib. Nope. And then once the 4 hour divergence is secured on the RSI, that's when I will be really ready for this thing to turn around. Now, if it gets here quickly, that's definitely probably a sign that's just going to leave a wick on the daily and come down. So I know that's a lot of mess. That's a lot, actually. There's a lot of different things that could happen on the dollar tomorrow. A lot of different plays. So we'll just have to be patient, I guess. And I don't know why all these are so out of whack, but man. Okay. We're going to go on to Euro USD, and I'm going to go over it super quick. So basically, it's the same thing, but inverse. So if it pulls up, divergence fib. If it pulls up here, I'm looking for a possible short on a more of a lower time frame. Let's check out the 4 hour RSI. It's the same exact play. So I basically need this to, it needs to come up a little higher before I look for the sell. I know it's overbought perfectly right now, but if it can give me this is saying the momentum is still increasing. This is still basically saying it is too. So in my eyes, EU isn't necessarily ready to roll down. It just looks like a pullback is coming, and then we're going to see another higher high. This wouldn't be the end all be all move I'm talking about. I think there's going to be, if it can come up here like this, then I think there's going to be a move like that. But then there's going to be another higher high. That move will probably create the divergence that I'm looking for then this thing to roll over, maybe roll over more, right? Coming into a level like this. So it's a lot of waiting on a bigger picture on G or EU right now for me. But this divergence fib could play out on a 15-minute if it doesn't play out kind of sooner than later, or if this low gets broken before this gets tapped, then it's invalid. If this swings down lower, then what I'm going to do is fib this whole thing, and that's where I'm going to look to short it. The only way I'm going to look to buy it is if it can come down into this level really perfectly, maybe like an A, B, C, and then have some accumulation pattern, give a wick down, maybe another wick down, and then take off. That would be like a lower time frame scalping opportunity back up to the top. I wouldn't even really take it past the highs, even though I still want it to do this for the 4-hour divergence. So a lot of lower time frame setups that could happen. Are they high probability? Maybe this one might be, right? This fib off this. But here's the thing, if the dollar fucks around and just moves up without like any of the stuff that I really want to happen, then this thing is gonna say see ya and end up faking out this high right here, taking all of this liquidity right here, and then just dying back down. And that's a possibility. I'm gonna have to see more price action before that. Like if I see this happen, then I'm probably gonna have to go, all right, I'm gonna switch my bias to the bears and I'm gonna look to short it. I'll probably get stopped out right here at some point, but this move would more than likely happen. So a lot on EU. Let's go over GU. I feel like the market's in the same spot for GU. I don't have to say much. One thing I will say about it is last week we gave a nice little pattern, and it could start to move up from here. I'm gonna actually put on some volume profile. Okay, so where it's at, this is important. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna put this line right here, and then I'm gonna put this line up here. You can see where there is fucking no volume, right? No volume here. That means price is gonna move fast if it gets there, just like it did before, because there's no fucking orders. So, right, it's at a order block area right here, and it could move down. And if it doesn't, I'm telling you, this thing is gonna fly. Probably take 3 days or less to get up here. So that's something I'm watching. I don't play breakouts necessarily. So it's not really my forte to take this trade like, wow, but I'll figure out a setup probably. I am noticing right here, there's decreasing volume coming into this area. So I'm gonna zoom in on this volume, right? Because you can see that there's good volume here. What I'm gonna do is zoom in onto just this, all right? It's gonna give me the profile of that. And I'm gonna bring this over a little bit so we can see it. And we're gonna go down to a lower time frame so we can really see it. All right, there we go. Good. And it's right here. You can see there's low volume. It rejected off the low volume. This another area I would say like needs to hold, or it's gonna kind of drop a little further. And this is kind of what I was saying about EU. I bet it looks very similar. In fact, yep, it's the same thing. Like if this area doesn't hold tomorrow, or whenever it gets there and it slips through here, it's most likely going to die. It is most likely. If it does this, I will be looking for that. Same thing with GU. If it kind of does this, it makes a big impulse down, I'll probably look for it to continue. If it retraces nicely, oof, this thing is about to do a little digital. Let's see if there's an entry on this. So you can see that there's not a lot of volume right here. If it slips through here with some volume, it's probably going to start to drop pretty fast. I don't really see an entry, so I'll wait on that. It's a breakout trade. It is. So this thing to here is about 50 pips. So do what you want with that. I'll be looking for buys down here, possibly. There's a little bit of liquidity down here. We'll just have to see how it does when it gets down there. Not the best setups. Let's go to the daily on UChef real quick and look and see what it's doing, right? Dying kind of just as fast as it rose. Let's put some volume into the picture. And we're coming into an important area. Let's bring less volume. Less. Okay, important area was breached. We're probably going to sink down a little bit. Let me get into the 4 hour. Yeah, not a lot of volume up here. We got to bring more price into the picture though to compare that with, because of if it's just this, of course, there's not going to be a lot of volume up there. Okay, so there's just not a lot of volume up there. Let's go to the 1 hour and see if there's a selling opportunity or buying opportunity, whatever. I wouldn't try to necessarily buy it unless you're scalping, just because of the daily candle. I personally, I don't like buying against bearish engulfing candles unless I'm scalping. So for like a long-term position, I don't really see it right here. Maybe this demand right here that was pretty strong, right? We held, and then boom. Maybe if it can get back above that on some like, makes a flag, and then like everyone's gonna sell it like me, but then it does this. Well, then that would kind of tell me that this could be a fuck up. But what I'm gonna look at is probably a short there tomorrow to create the divergence, right? So I want this to pop up, and then just like that, boom. I want it to kind of come up a little bit, and then this is already kind of showing the divergence on the MACD. So 3 waves is always better for a longer term trend change. So if you see that on the 4 hour, that's really when the market's going to start to roll. When you see it on the 1 hour, you're probably going to see a pretty deep correction, or deeper than like a 50 EMA maybe, or to it. And then if you see it on any of these other time frames, don't expect too much. So yeah, UChef on the 1 hour made a nice impulse. The MACD started to give the divergence right there. So this probably will correct based off of the divergence there, and it was there on the RSI as well. So if we get 3 waves, that's a good buying opportunity, and we can go ahead and draw out the parallel channel. Boom. Oh, I'll fix that. Hold on. And we're expecting a rejection right there. We will do settings, style, no extensions. All right, I'll extend it myself. There we go. So yeah, I'm expecting UChef to come up and drop. Big volume here. And guys, I it's right here. It's right here. No volume. So if it does break here, it's going to go here. It could go fast. It doesn't have to do this. It could just do this. But I'm hoping that the volume, most traded volume in the past month, is going to hold. And so if we come up, boom, Then we'll assess a buy at that point. Maybe on the 15-minute, if it can, if it doesn't go up here first, if it doesn't do that, and if it does this, well then, maybe that constitutes a buy, right? So we'll see about you, Chef. I kind of like the way it's moving. I don't know. For some reason, it just looks a little more better. Looks more better like, ooh, this is the opposite though. You see sideways, complete sideways. Weekly on this, just real quick. And it is starting to slow down again. Is it going to start to move up again? I don't know. Daily, it's pretty bullish, but the correction is just obvious. The momentum is, today's momentum is already starting to come. That's too early to count. Okay, so this looks to me like it's kind of reaccumulating or it's the top distribution, but I see like a 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is the test, or this was the test. This is the last point of supply, and we could be doing this to then do that. So that's like a little Wyckoff there for sure. My entry on this, it doesn't look perfect enough for me, to be honest. I see it. It's one thing to analyze it, and then it's another thing to trade it. So let me see on the 1 hour. This could start to roll. That's a reason why, and this is a reason why. So this is already starting to pump down. This is starting to cross down. Volume is starting to try to pick up a little bit. If it doesn't fall now, I think there's a good shorting opportunity in this area. And in fact, I'm going to highlight this, and then I'm going to see if there's any daily volume in there. Nope, not much. It's coming into some from yesterday. Let's see if it rejects here and goes up. There's some high volume. So I won't short GU until, or fucking GU. I won't short UJ until it gets up here. And I'm just gonna make it red so I know that I'm looking at shorts up there. And that would make sense, come up into this area where it was struggling, good price, and not inefficiency. So come back up, fill that, and then let's drop. That's the only way I'm going to sell UJ. Right now, it's a little bit too choppy. What's the word? I guess if it breaks low, it's probably going to die. So that's another trade opportunity. If it does decide to do this in my sleep, then yeah, we're probably going to see something like that happen. Because UJ is a little bit more smoother than some of the other pairs, I'd say. It's slower, but smoother. So here's a good, oh yeah, I think this is gonna play. So we have 2 waves of divergence right here. If we get one more wave, it'd be kind of scary to short right there. Let me think. Divergence fib off that wave would go down into there. So I'm gonna put the 4-hour divergence fib on right here. And let me just write real quick for our divergence fib. All right. And yeah, I don't need this right here really. That's obvious zone. So if that can break and retest right there, before it gets into this, like if price just slams down here first, it's probably going to show the 4-hour divergence pretty obvious. So I'll see. That could be a little fake out but with the Wyckoff kind of look to it, and actually I have it pulled up. If I blind your eyes, I'm sorry, but let's just look at this real quick on that. Is that what I'm seeing? Or is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So we got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then kind of like a test, and then an LPS Y. So 1, 2, 3, test, LPS Y, and now we're down here into this. So if we get a move down, like a sign of weakness, which is really like a sign of strength to the downside, sign of weakness to the downside, I don't think I might not want to play this divergence. So I'll see how this thing starts to fall. If it starts to fall with some speed, we could see a good shorting opportunity, I think. And in fact, even on the 5 minute, if it wants to go ahead and, see here, this thing is about to start to do some damage probably, because it just kind of probably cleared some stop losses at break even, or anyone who was trying to get in early right here. And when you break it down, even when I go down to the 5 right here, I'm kind of seeing the Wyckoff, the 1, 2, and then we're starting to drop down. If I go to this one, 1, 2, we chop and then drop. 1, 2, chop, drop. So I'll be watching, maybe watch UJ tonight, or maybe some of the other yen pairs tonight. In fact, while I'm doing this, yeah, you can kind of see some of these Wyckoff looks on these yens right now. Definitely looks like some distribution. This is at the 78.6, so let's look at this one. That's interesting. 15. So no structures really shifted yet on 15 minute, but this is something to watch. It could take a little bit. So I'm going to be watching the yens, I guess. We'll probably see this end up falling down by the end of the stream. If y'all remind me, we can maybe try to catch a short on UJ. Yeah. All right, let's go. We don't need to look at EG. I think actually it's in an interesting spot, so we will look at it. The volume on EG, that's annoying to me right there. Okay, this is all I really need anyway. Monthly level held. We don't need to draw it out. It held. We had 2 bullish engulfing candles, 3 moves, I guess, out of that. On the daily, that's the move. Big momentum. RSI made the big move. We came back to the 50 on the RSI. Now we're pushing out of it. I really wanted it to come back down to sweep this low out first and then make a move up. But what it's looking like it's going to do tomorrow is kind of just come into this area first. It could still do what I want it to. It could definitely do the A, B, C, and then make the move up, which is most likely what it's going to do. So that's what I'm going to predict, I guess. And the only reason I'm saying that is because this move right here was fierce, right? The false move and then the breakdown. I think when price gets back up into that, there's a shorting opportunity. And I think I wanted to just go ahead and come back down into this area. So I'll be looking at this area to short on EG, and it's coming back down into this area that I want, but high volume here. But for now, I think a buy might be in play for tomorrow. So maybe this impulse looks okay. For some reason, to me, this area just looks a little sus, just because these lows are right here, just perfectly equal. And I have a tool for that. Let's make them equal lows, right? And so if the market comes down here pretty fast, I probably won't want to play the buys unless there is like some 5 minute Wyckoff shit or something. The sells are actually looking okay right now. Interesting. So we have a rising wedge coming into it. I know I don't like selling on bullish engulfing candles though, but you got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes. This looks like an okay short coming up on EG. It actually has one more move up most likely. So there's no divergence on the 1 hour really. I mean, it's flat price, flat RSI. This is coming down a hair, right? You can see that, and you can really see it on the 15. So what that means is there's probably going to be a correction and then a move up. If it corrects down into this, like this, I think it's a good buy. Other than that, if it comes in here too fast, it's probably going to wick this and then make the move. So I'll be watching. There's some setups. Maybe I'm just seeing the market in a way that I can trade it either way, because lately I have been doing that, but man. GJ Rockstar 702 hit on the bulls. It's been making this bullish move up, but on the weekly, let's even look at the monthly. It's showing the rejection on the monthly. So let me delete this fib and just look at it like this. Eventually, you know, we were waiting for GJ to correct because it was literally doing the digital dash to the upside. It was doing the digital. Now we got the correction and it did like the ABC. This A and then B, C. The A to B or A to C is literally like a perfect extension move. So that told me to maybe look for the bulls on GJ. It also had this hidden bullish divergence here. So, I mean, there was a lot of signs telling us to look for the bulls. But now it's at a level where it hasn't wanted to break in a while. Is it going to break it? I don't know. We got this really nice bear flag here. And there's, you know, these lows there that look pretty juicy, but then there's also these highs here that look pretty juicy. So I don't really know what GJ is going to do. The other markets have a better look to it. If you're a swing trader, this looks really money. Especially if it can start to break some structure, then I might look for, you know, some move down back to these areas. Let's see if there's any volume untapped down there. Yeah, right here hasn't been tapped. This got barely missed by that. So technically this is untapped. This just got tapped. That's got tapped. So yeah, I think there's more volume to the downside, even though, you know, the upside just got hit. So I will be more in favor of the downside for GJ, but I think the yen is going to play a big role in that, right? And I'll go look at the 5 minute real quick to see if this thing is going to roll over. It doesn't look like it yet. So I'm more interested in UJ5 and not yet. Goldilocks. All right. Enough of forex. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into gold fast, and then I'll do indices fast, and then Bitcoin I might spend time on. Monthly on gold real quick. We're starting to end the month with a little bit of this rejection, right, on the monthly candle. So that's interesting, right in this bullish candle. That's something to note. I haven't really looked at the monthly yet. I usually look at it at the beginning and the end of the months. Weekly, last week was bullish off of this demand. So we can just mark that demand area off. That's obvious. Reaction off of that. And boom, we made an A, B, C, downtrending, but correcting on the daily. 4 hour, how many waves have we made? 1, 2 with an extended move. So we're probably going to get a correction back down into here, or maybe even a lower move than that, maybe even all the way down here. But This area looks pretty fresh to me. Hasn't really been tapped into at all. And the bulls were just loving this price. So if it comes back into here, what makes you think it wouldn't go back up, right? So let's refine this a little bit to about like that. And let's see if gold will come down into this before making possibly another move to the upside, maybe on this correction that it's doing. The trend line doesn't really mean anything. It just kind of helps me see the direction that I really had a bias for, I guess, because you can see that if it does get down here, even if it comes down in one freaking candle, it would break this trend line and get into my buy area. So really the trend line would get broken regardless. So now I want to delete it. Okay, let's look at this fib. If I do it from absolute low to absolute high, it's good, right? And here we're still good. So it doesn't, the fib is kind of irrelevant until it gets down there. 15-minute, I mean, we called this short earlier today, or not like called it, but we were looking for the short earlier. We really called both. Let's talk about gold real fast, real quick, how we call this stuff in this private chat that we have going on that people be missing out on because they already know how to trade. All right, so we had a swing to swing right here. Divergence fib was hit, okay, and then we had the move down. That's a scalp. That's perfect, right? RSI was coming down, and then it still made a lower high. This did as well. So we had the divergence fib that hit. That was a confirmation that this thing was possibly going to go down a little bit back into this area. And then once it got into 18, what was it, 48 or 52 or something like that, we were looking for bullish divergence on the 5-minute. And so it made the lower lows here, boom, off of the divergence fib that hit right there, boom, made the M and then dropped, came back, could have shorted that maybe, but we were really looking for buys at this point because we had divergence on the RSI and the MACD. Then it popped. Here's the divergence fib right off of it, a little lower, but then popped. At that point, we were saying, well, it's probably going to drop now because it's been hit that divergence fib. And it missed a 702. We actually weren't paying attention to that. We were calling the short probably down here after the buy. We were looking for the short. So this thing is probably going to roll down. If it comes up one more time, depending on how it gets there, maybe it's a short. But I'm looking for buys after it gets all the way down here. So in that case, if it does something like this is going to be an interesting area to watch out for, that it could react off of. It definitely doesn't have to get down here. It definitely could just react off of this down move, big move. So those are two areas I'm watching for gold. I don't really see a setup on it right now. It will probably create, actually I see one more possible move it could make. Okay, we're not shorting it. So we're not divergence fibbing it yet. We're looking for two areas for buys down there possibly. And then I see some channel action going on right here. So if it wants to go ahead and just like kind of stop right here, it doesn't have to come to the bottom of the channel necessarily. I really am more focused on this 2 drives up without a big correction. So 1 drive, I mean, it definitely corrected, don't get me wrong, but I like to see like when there's inefficiency in the price and it doesn't correct into it, to me, it's overextended. Okay, so we have 1, 2, if we get this third move without this getting hit, that's a short. It's gotta be. So we have 1 wave here, 1 wave here. If this extends up, and if it extends up fast, this is probably going to extend up pretty quick too. And even if this makes a double top, I will still, and this doesn't, I will still look at this as 3-wave divergence. This will come up here. Now, to play the timing on this, and I said I was going to be short on gold, but yo, I can't be short. To play the timing on this, how I'm going to do it. When it comes up here, right, the 15-minute is going to be roaring. So on this third wave, the 15-minute is going to be like a new high, probably, if it comes up there. So this would look like this, probably wham, right? And it'll be overbought. And then people will probably try to sell right there. But then I would be looking for divergence on the 15-minute for the entry. I probably wouldn't just short it like a mug yet, unless I have a perfect divergence fib right here to here. So maybe that's a limit order tonight. The only thing about limit orders is usually you can confirm the 1 hour divergence fib with a lower time frame divergence when it gets into the area. So no, we're not going to do any limit orders. We're going to put lower time frame divergence for confirmation. If it gets in that bitch and it has lower time frame divergence, I'm shorting like a mug. And I don't care, because the daily, where's this line up on the daily? Because that's kind of important as well. Because it'll look like just a bullish ass candle. Oh, this is money. You see how this daily candle closed? If this comes up like this, I would literally expect it to fall just like that, and it would end up closing a nice bearish candle with a wick like that, pretty much. Nah, that's a bad example, but this is also lining up with a very nice level. So this looks good. I'm actually liking the market tonight. Will I like it in the morning? We'll see. Oh, this did a little digital. All right, indices and then crypto. Indices and then crypto. Indices, I'm bearish. I don't want to buy it unless there's like some scalp bullish divergence, probably. Weekly, I mean, only thing I will say on the weekly, it's oversold. Yeah. But this move right here is almost the same as this move right here. And time and price mean a lot in the market. So it's, in my opinion, it's getting close to getting ready. Maybe like I was like 90% bearish when it was here. Now I'm like 70, maybe 60 even, because just to how things are looking. You're getting some wicks, you're getting a little wick, you know. You can see the volume profile on this though, guys. If this thing doesn't pretty much stop soon, it's gone. It's coming. It's done for. Done. And that's why people are kind of scared, I think, because other people can see these volume profiles and stuff. You know, this move right here is most likely what we're going to see, guys. So if we do see a pullback and then 1 day of like a race, really weak, I guess we're on the weekly. Let's go to the daily. If we see this type of move right here, because we already know below this, really it's like below this line is, yeah, right here is death. So what I'm thinking, since there is no divergence on the weekly, and I'm only going to talk about the NASDAQ, I'm not going to talk about the other two, they're all the same. Since there's no divergence on the weekly here, momentum is making lower lows with price. The RSI, or the red line, trend line, is making a straight down trend. Same thing with the RSI. I mean, lower lows, right? Just like everything else, I'm expecting there to be some type of bullish divergence for us to get out of this. Oh, wow. There's like, you can't even see me now. Let's see if I can brighten my screen up or something to. Oh man, y'all can't see me at all now. Well, that's okay, I guess. Let me turn the light on.
Ooh, I just entered back into the matrix. All right. All right.
Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Take a drink of this water. Right, so understanding the momentum is still down, right? What I'm waiting for is a pullback and then a lower low in price, but the RSI to create the higher low, right? If the weekly is still signaling that it's bearish, then when it gets out of this area, it's just going to give us another drop down. Very similar to how it did right here. So watch this. I don't know what happened in the price right here, but if you can see that this right here was higher than this, and it was signaling price to go down, I'm basically wanting that to, and then look, we get down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? I'm waiting for that same thing right here. Let me see if this was an area where there was actual divergence in the chart. Okay, so check this out. The price here and here made higher highs, but this momentum on the RSI was showing the complete reversal of the NASDAQ. And that's what I'm basically waiting for on the bulls, right? Same thing, opposite, right? So we'll probably end up doing a swing up, tapping into these levels again. People are going to say the market's bullish as fuck or whatever. And I'm going to say, no, we have one more move down. The down move could extend deep, but that's another story. For tomorrow, so that's kind of like a bigger picture. For tomorrow, now there was some bullish divergence on the daily. I did see that, but it was weak, very weak. Let's go to the 4 hour because the daily really isn't giving much, in my opinion. In fact, it looked like it was going to, right, off this. And do we have any volume? In fact, I want to go over to the futures. Let's go to the NASDAQ here. And let's see what we got on the volume. So yeah, we had a nice bullish candle, but low volume. And I was almost signaling that wasn't much demand. We're most likely coming lower tomorrow. I'm still waiting for this price up here. In fact, these are probably going to get swept. I'm probably not going to day trade anything on the NASDAQ. Another reason why, yeah, this opens with a gap. So in this market, I was just seeing what the volume was looking like over here. That was nice volume. There's probably going to be a buying opportunity into this. It's high risk because most likely it's going to run lower, but at the same time, I do want price to come up here still one more time. Not a lot of volume down here, so it's a setup. It's a setup, but it's risky. Let me see if there's any daily volume right there. Okay, yeah, it's worth it maybe down here in this off this bullish candle. Let's get into that candle a little bit deeper. Right here. All right. This thing is most likely coming down in there before I even get to play it. As you can see how the volume is low right here. And this is what's going to happen. If it comes down in here, before it clears this gap, then I think we'll have a good opportunity to come back into that gap tomorrow. If it clears the gap first and comes down into here, we got to be very careful. And just to see real quick on this market, NASDAQ, that's just a straight down drop. So yeah, the gap is way up here. So I wouldn't try to play this as a fib, because in the futures market, the gap is literally right there. And that could easily get ran. So I'm not going to play the fib on it. I'm just going to be patient. If it does something like this, then we'll look for sells back down into this area way down there. All right, bitty, bo bitty. I can't believe it. So I've been day trading the shit out of Ethereum, and I was in like, let me delete this. I was in sells. Let's see. I caught, where did I catch? Yeah, I caught this sell with a couple positions. And then I tried to sell here, or I did sell here, caught a couple here, and then broke me even. I sold here again, broke me even. I sold here again, but one of these positions right here kept going. I didn't break it even for some reason. I just kept it going. And I don't know. I have a small account with it, so I didn't have, my stop was like way above here. But I didn't want it to keep going, so I started hedging. And once it came back into here, right here, I think, or maybe right here, I closed out both of the positions. I was out of everything. Then it did this. Pissed me off. Oh, well. All right, so Bitcoin, let's look at this thing and really dissect it, because it's in a super duper interesting area. I'm gonna have to look at what this what was going on back in the past, in the past. So the past bear markets. Okay, here's the 50 EMA, here's the 200 EMA, right? When we slipped through, this is the 2017, 2018 bear market. When we broke through the 50 EMA, it pretty much held below it. It would every time it got above it, here, I almost guarantee you there was a form of divergence, and there was, right? Let's go over here and see what we're doing when we get below these 50 EMA, or above the 50 EMAs. Okay, we are giving divergence. There's no divergence. There's a little bit there on lower time frames. So it's similar, right? And then there's likely to be one more, maybe. After we slipped through the 200 EMA, we tested the 50 EMA, we slipped through it again, we test the 200, we slipped through it, we test the 200, we test the 200. So we tested the 200 after we slipped through it. Okay, we slipped through the 200, we test the 50. That was the first thing it did. Then it tested. Okay, now we've kind of made a big move down. What I'm getting at is we might be right here in this market. It did very similar things here in the 2014 bear market, right? Slipping through the 50, the 200, tapping the 50, giving the divergence every time that it pulled up, right? And then capitulating and then making a move up. So it's in an interesting spot. I am seeing all that and it's making sense to me, but I am still, I'm still thinking that the market isn't quite, it's just not quite ready yet. I wanted to do this though, and just to show you kind of a little bit deeper on that, what I'm looking at. I saw this from a blockchain backer, so I definitely didn't find this myself, but from the top of the bull market to the bottom, right, the capitulation, and then it makes a move up. So that's what happened back then. If we bring that over to now, from the top of the market now, this is where some people have a debate about what the top of the market was. Some people think this was the top. Some people are saying this is the top because that's the price. If you look at some other indicators and stuff, technically this could be the top where the majority of people who hold the Bitcoin, that's where they exited. When this move was made, they did not get back into the market. And you can look at that on some other indicators. But if you just do this right here and just kind of slip this over into this, I mean, I know the fractal isn't exact, but the very tip of this is lined up with the very tip of this, right? And just look how similar the capitulation moment was, right? Very interesting, right there. And as well, I want to also just show the 2014 case, because that was the other bear market that we saw. And this was the top of that bear market here, or top of the bull market. And it did this and then rose. So we'll bring this over to us now. We'll kind of bring it at the top of the market, and you can see same thing, right? It's like it capitulated the exact same time that it took from highs to lows. So what I'm thinking is we're close to the bottom of Bitcoin, time wise. There's still like 700 something days till the next halving. Not all, just because it happened in the past doesn't mean it's going to happen right now, but it's very, very timing similar, just insanely similar. So what I think is happening right now is we're going to get a long-term accumulation. Now I think there's a shorter term accumulation going on right here, right now. And I think it could last maybe like this. And it could be the bottom. This could be the bottom. I'm going to position myself like it might be, probably halfway position myself like it might be, but this could just be a reaccumulation. So what I think, with this move down, right, I think we have another, possibility to come up here and then move down, right? If we're looking at this from a Wyckoff standpoint, which I am, this is right here. It just is almost too picture perfect. The PSY. I don't want to label them all out. BC, buying climax. Okay, ST. The ST, when you get into these bigger pictures, it's more of like a bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? We could even go to the weekly and see this a little better probably. So PS, BC, AR, UT, LPSY right here. And now we're starting to create another LPSY, and then we're going to get a sign of strength that falls out. And that's just my opinion. It made the beautiful accumulation down here, and now it's making the beautiful distribution up here. And that's just what the market does, though. It's not like I'm creating this thought in my head. It's what the market does. Now, timing, it's a whole crazy thing, and I'm not really trying to, time it, but let's go over to the futures market and see what that looks like real quick. Bitcoin, here we go. All right, so right now you can see this weekly candle. I want to point this out, how it had this wick and it had this volume, right? That's a sign that the insiders definitely bought this candle at the bottom. That's what that means, pretty much. You can see it happened here as well. And then on this candle as well. These are the footprints that they leave. So they are definitely looking, as it capitulated down, the weak hands, the weak money, the dumb money. I don't really like calling it dumb money, but just people who don't really know what they're doing. They sold into the buyers, the insiders who knew to buy here. So I think what is going to happen is they're going to build a case here, a campaign. And if you read about Wyckoff, he talks a lot about the composite man carefully plans and executes and concludes his campaigns. The composite man attracts the public to buy a stock in which he has already accumulated in a sizable line of shares by making many transactions involving a large number of shares, blah, blah, blah. One must study individual stock. Nope. With the study practice, we can acquire it. Nope. I was looking for some distribution stuff, but regardless, I think that's down here. Yeah. We are getting into this, but I want to see this happen first, really this happen first in this area. So we've already seen this move down, and we're gonna get into the 4 hour now. Okay, so we saw this move down. The first move down, there was a little, big move, prolonged down move. We come into here and there's some volume on this, on this down move, the buyers coming in. And the first thing that it says here is this PS, this preliminary support. This is where the substantial buying begins to provide pronounced support after a prolonged down move. Volume increases and price spread widens, signaling that the down move may be approaching its end. Volume increases on the down move. Boom. Spreads widen. Boom. We get that. Now we get this move to the downside. This is the PS, and we will label these. I thought I had it labeled, which is annoying because I did, but this is the PS, and I'm going to keep it real small. So it's kind of out of my way when I'm looking at the charts. And then the next move is the SC, Selling Climax. And that's the point at which the widening spread and the selling pressure usually climaxes, ends, and heavy or panicky selling by the public is being absorbed by the larger professionals, like I said earlier. And it will often close near the bottom. Price will often close well off the low. So there's usually going to be a wick is what it means, right? And boom, there's a wick, big wick. And we do get volume increase here as well. So, the volume was increasing to the downside right here, public sold right there. Maybe off this wick, they got another position off the PS, right? But then we get a drop here. Volume started to decrease to the downside until we get to this candle. Boom, we get a little pop in the volume. And this is the selling climax. So I'm going to do this and drag this right here. And that's our selling climax. And I'm taking a while today, but this stuff isn't really taught as much. So and it's good for me to kind of continuously go over it, right? And that's gonna create the bottom of the trading range. All right, and we're gonna make that this color, and we're gonna make it aligned. All right, and then we got this move up, right? And so it says it's called the AR, and it's an automatic rally, and it occurs because intense selling pressure has greatly diminished. A wave of buying easily pushes price up. So less people started selling, so the price automatically rallied. That's how you look at that one. The high of this rally will help define the upper bound. So when you see a PS and then it corrects a little bit and then it makes a move down and then it gives another wick down, that's kind of like you're starting to, okay. And one thing that Wyckoff doesn't talk about is divergence. And on these two right here, I've started to notice that there's usually some type of divergence that will come into play. So this begins the case, right? The AR, the automatic rally, we talked about that. So let me put that into play here. Okay, boy, oh boy. I just did a lot of automatic rally, boom. And then we get the ST, which is the secondary test. Price revisits the area of the selling climax to test the demand, supply and demand balance. It's really testing if there's demand down there. If a bottom is to be confirmed, which it's just the bottom of the ST, volume and price spread should be significantly diminished as the market approaches support in the area of the SC. So basically what it's saying is there should be a bullish flag, or there should be some type of low correction. It shouldn't get there fast is what it is saying. And so it's saying price should come into this area somewhere. Now, this is where we aren't 100% sure of if the Wyckoff is where it is at, because when you go on to the chart, let me actually just put it side by side, and I'll bring it up on here. Boom. Oh, it changed it on that one, not this one. Why did it do that? I want that there, and then I want that one there. All right. So they're a little different. Let's bring this on the 4 hour. Hair different. The reason you can kind of see that on this, SC is down here. It made an automatic rally. And then down here, it doesn't have that over here. This is the most perfect ST, right? Low volume, a perfect bullish flag, and then boom. So, I mean, it's kind of, you can see what I'm trying to say, I think, right here. So it's a little subjective, right? And trading is that way regardless. So here's the top of the trading range right here. And in fact, this would be the top of the trading range. This would be the AR right there. And AR is right here. You see how they line up? And then we have an ST, but this isn't really an ST. There was a weekend right there, right? But I'm saying that this is technically, over here is what I'm looking at. That is the ST way over here. But you can see on the screen over there, there is no ST. So it's kind of weird. Roll with me. ST, we're going to put it right there. And we're going to put it over here too, but it's not really there, right? I don't know how I feel about that one. There could definitely still be I could be completely wrong about this, to be honest. But if you just kind of flow with me a little bit, you see how this, after the ST, there's a spike up above the AR. After the ST, spike above the AR, there's nothing on that, but you can see that spike above the AR right here. You see it in the CME, and you see it in the spot. cash money. And so what I'm waiting for now, I think this is complete, right? I think this is pretty much completed. And we're waiting for, after this tap up, 1, 2, 3 down. So where are we? After that tap up, 1, 2, right? We're in an interesting spot. It's showing that it wants to move down. The main thing that I'm looking for on this is overall, right? Intraday price action, I'll get into that, but like overall, trying to time this market, what I'm going to be playing, I need to see another secondary test in phase B. So this would be phase A, right here and right there, right after the ST. So I'll just move this over a little bit and then move this over a little bit, right? Technically, the ST is like right here, and this is supposed to be right there, but oh well. Anyways, this phase is complete. This phase is complete. Phase A is done. We're on to phase B. So phase A is done. Phase B is where we need to get into. Building a cause for a new uptrend. This is what we need to get into. And once we get into that, then after we get into phase B, we're going to need to come back up and test again before we make another test. So I know some people think that this could be it and we could just be going, and it fucking could be. But for me, I need to see this get tested one more time. I need to see this get tested one more time. And then I need to see it come back down into the middle at least. Really, I want to see 3 tests to the bottom. And I want to see it like this. Now that we've made a correction, I can finally find a divergence fib. So at some point, I want to see 21K get hit. That's kind of like my magic number now. Will it be on the first test? So if this ends up doing what I want, maybe it does this, then this, maybe not, right? 1, 2, 3, comes back up here. And then I would want this to happen. Boom, boom. Tap the 21550, test it. And then from there, I would expect a movement, maybe come back in, scare some people, but then movement on out of here. Now, where does it go from here? That is a whole nother story. It depends on how long it takes to accumulate. The longer it takes to accumulate, the better. So right here, it says the law of cause and effects. This is what you need to look at when it's looking about accumulation and distribution. Basically, the longer the cause, the bigger the effect. So I'm waiting for this to happen. This would be the ST in phase B. This would be the spring. This would be the test. This would be the last support. This would be the last support. This would be the sign of strength. This would be the last test or whatever. And then we would go off into the abyss. Now, really, this could just be a reaccumulation for, a reaccumulation or redistribution for something like this to end up rolling back down one more time. Now, if this fucking happens, if this is perfectly campaigned by the insiders and they set up a perfect campaign like this, and it ends up doing something like this, that will be a V bottom. It will not accumulate again, in my opinion. They will have had enough accumulation here, enough time to position themselves in the market here to where when it rolls over there, like if it rolls over like this fast, it will be just a very quick V bottom type out of here. So let's go into the intraday. I'm going to go in intraday on the futures since we are on the week still. On the weekend, I'll probably end up using the other chart because this will be closed. All right, I'm going to keep that divergence there, and I'm going to have to clean that up. Actually, let me get the magnet back out and get it right on there. Right on there. So what is that? 21.6. Cool. I'll just put a line here because I don't want that fib there. Sorry. What did I just do? There you go. I know this is a long analysis. It's okay. 216 is what I'm doing. All right, and now let me title that Divergence fib. And that would be a big time 4 hour, so more like a daily, but I'm just gonna put 4 hour. No, I'm not gonna put shit. All right, guys, let's see what we're looking at for tomorrow, because I think there is gonna be a setup on Bitcoin tomorrow. Could I get wrecked? Yeah, that's definitely possible. I'm trying to delete this divergence fib without deleting anything else. Okay, cool. So, right, I'm expecting this move to the downside. So what am I gonna look for tomorrow, right? One thing I do see right here is this is kind of, I mean, it hasn't made lower lows yet, but you know, it's almost double bottom. You know, that's not divergence. It's not diverging. This is coming down tomorrow. The only thing that I don't like is the equal highs that it is set up never got taken, but that's okay. That's not part of the Wyckoff model here. The part of the model is for the fucking price to get down into here. So tomorrow I'm going to be looking for a shorting opportunity if it can pull back. If it does break this low, let's see where the volume is at. So there's not any, guys, there's no volume below here. So when price breaks this low, it's going to do one of two things. Most likely it's going to fall fast. Where it will stop, literally nobody knows, except me right here. It's going to stop right there. But not tomorrow. It's not going to get there tomorrow. Definitely not. That would be a 25% drop. We're not going to see that tomorrow. In fact, we might see a 5%. So let's go to the daily and see what the candle looks like. Yeah, so we're getting a bearish candle. If we come back into this wick at all, that's a short. If we break this low, I mean, it's a dirty short. It really is. We close below that on almost any time frame, I think it's a short. And it's hard to say that though, because check this out. It made such a drastic move down. No, this is a disaster. So the intraday, you might as well just go fuck yourself with Bitcoin because it can do a lot of different things. Right? So right here, there's no volume. Literally every time it passes this, it will move fast. So most likely it's going to move fast into this area, which is going to scare the shit out of me to sell it. But that would be the area you'd want to short at. Definitely. Could it do some Bitcoin shit and manipulate up here and then drop? Yeah, you might want to wait for that first. It's all depends on how you feel during the day, how you've felt on some other trades. If you've made some money on some other trades or not, you can risk it. It did close this gap that it had over the weekend, made that gap. And so I'm expecting this to move down. What I see though, and it's just part of my setup, right? We get the impulse down, pussy retrace. We didn't retrace to the imbalanced area. So now I'm expecting if it falls, it needs to come back into this area first. So this could be a fake move down. We really got to be careful because you don't necessarily want to buy right here because it could slip. It could literally slip. There could be zero demand right there and it could just slip. But at the same time, the momentum is showing that if it comes down here, you can already see the momentum isn't going to equal it. If it makes just like 3 candles, it could get down here. 3 candles, no way it can get to this. So I'm starting to see bullish divergence on the lower time frames. Does that mean I want to trade it just because there's some 15-minute divergence? Not necessarily. I really would rather short it to complete this Wyckoff drop down. So here's our targets for tomorrow. Technically, just tomorrow, I would look to. I pressed divergence, didn't I? I would look to take it down into the 27.6, and let's just confirm that with some maybe volume on these days over here. So let's bring in, see if there's some weekly volume. Take that away. So these are, I believe I have it on the weeks. Yeah, every week's volume, right? And that's interesting. Very interesting stuff. I'm gonna need to do this one at a time. Last week's volume was right here. And we just kind of broke through that. Very interesting. So if we can come up tomorrow into the 3,400, that's where this week's volume is, and that's where last week's majority volume was. So there is a high probability probably that price will get there. We might need to look for buys. But regardless, I really want to see this hold, but there's not really any volume down here. So let me see if there's any daily volume. Yeah, here's the daily profile. There is a little bit down here, which would line up really well with this extension. Other than that, I'm not seeing the best case to the downside besides the Wyckoff, besides the impulse, there's a couple cases, right? But there's still this strong case that this can go, this will get there. And that is a good move right here. That's about 180, 1,000. What is it? That's not that much, is it? Yeah, it is $1,000. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was tripping. All right. So to play this, I'm gonna wait for 5-minute Wyckoff. So we already have. Let's look at it, right? And this has helped me get such better entries, so much better risk to reward. PSY. The PS, after a prolonged move, is this an area of support? I wouldn't really say that's it. I wouldn't even say that's it. This has got to be it, right? This has to be that first area of support. High volume comes in, shows it, boom. All right. Then we get an AR and the ST. So we get the AR, but then the ST kind of runs down a little bit. So that's not the ST in phase B yet. That's not it. So that's more of the ST. It's just structured weird. Does that make sense? It's not always going to be perfect. Definitely. The AR, the ST. Now the AR sets the trading range. So that's the trading range. If we break above that, it's flying most likely, but we still need to, we were supposed to come up and tap above it, right? So if there's a tap above, I'm going to wait. Okay. And then if there's a tap down here, I'm going to probably look for a buy, just because there's like 1, 2, 3 moves. There could be a test here, and then we can move out of there. Right? 1, 2, 3. Sometimes this doesn't happen, right? So right here, it sometimes will just go 1, 2, 3, no test. 1, 2, 3, spring test, boom. So sometimes you will get stopped out trying to play if you don't wait for that spring. Usually it's like a double bottom here. And then this will be that third one that will maybe stop you out sometimes. So you just really got to pick which pattern you want to play. But regardless, man, there's a lot of setups tomorrow. I just went in depth into the market. I really think the way that I view the market, it's a momentum time-based system that I'm going to figure out how to teach a little bit better. But regardless, it's kind of in the moment based off of multiple time frame analysis. And you get to play a whole lot of different ways with high probability. It's fun. Once you get your emotions down, it's really fun, and because you're able to trade different markets, you're able to have high probability with it, and you're not afraid to like go at these different markets. Because I go back and forth from like wanting to trade one pair to like all these different pairs, and what I'm really figuring out is you just have to find the best setup for the day and stick with like the best looking pair of the day and stick with it, and have a great bias on which direction it's going to go. And don't be afraid to play the lower time frames in the opposite direction, So tomorrow I will be watching how the dollar plays out to decide on which one of these I really want to play. Let's look at UJ. Ooh, damn, son. Feel bad. See, I'm glad it didn't, I didn't try to short yet. I was waiting for this low to get broken. Oh, well. EG, this could be, there's a lot of setups tomorrow. I'll be watching, guys. In the private chat, I'll hit y'all up. I'll let y'all know what I'm getting into. Ooh, this GU might fall. Remember what I said about the volume profile on GU? Not that one. Right, there's not a lot below here. So this thing might do the digital dash for about 50 pips. Let's see if I can get an entry. I just don't see an entry on this. It's about to just die with no sign. What I do see right here is a little ugly Wyckoff, right? PS, test, drop, sign of strength. This needs to show a sign of strength, and it's not as much as I want it to. If it can drop more tomorrow and give some type of entry, I think it'll be worth it. I do. Let's go to the daily real quick. Fucking bullish engulfing. This will be a legit like trap almost. No, that's coming right into the level I wanted to. That's right. Okay, 15 minute. Okay, I was just looking at it weirdly. So this might be a play for London, because if it takes too long, I think it won't happen. I mean, this thing is going to start dropping now. Oh well. Carlo, what up, my dude? All right, yo. I'm thinking this is a good setup for tomorrow. Let's see, what time would it get there? Yep, around New York tomorrow sometime. I'm looking for that. If it does this first, buying up to it. I got some plays tomorrow, yo. Maybe this. All I know is I'm about to start getting on here a lot more in analyzing like this, a lot more, because I feel like I got the wrist motion right now. And so I need to stay hot with it, need to stay on here and keep finding these divergence plays, see the dollar start to pull up. I do think there's going to be a sweep of these lows and then a move up. That's really hope I see that. So, all right, y'all. Hope y'all got some value out of the Wyckoff as well. Go back and watch the replay of that. It's a long replay. Put it on like 2x speed or something. Go to the parts that you really want to watch, and this is some stuff that you're not gonna get. You're really not gonna get this from other people. This is the stuff, because there's a bunch of like the bullish flag patterns or the head and shoulders and all those other patterns. You can look at that on a screen. I can give you a piece of paper of that right now and you'd be able to see it. You'd be able to go to the chart right now and you'd be able to find it. Wyckoff is not that easy. You can ask anyone who's been in the market. They cannot just spot Wyckoff patterns. They don't understand them. I am been in the market for 4 years, and I'm just now grasping the Wyckoff theory to an extent to where I can teach it a little bit now. Everything else, it's like I grasp it like that. But this is some stuff that if you really start to get this is the footprint of the real pattern that smart money makes, or insiders or whatever. And they make it on every time frame. So if you're struggling with entries, or you're struggling with finding setups, go into this, look at this, study this, and then use whatever method you've been using. Just use this for your entries on the lower time frames. So wait, if you're looking at a 1 hour setup and you see a bullish flag and it gets to the 61.8, wait for this accumulation pattern to happen on the 1 minute time frame for your entry, or the 5 minute time frame for your entry, or the fucking 30-second time frame for your entry, depending on what time frame you trade off of. And it's not going to happen every time. Hell no. Sometimes it's just going to hit your entry and go. But if it creates this pattern in an area of interest, it raises the probability that it raises it completely. And this is the trade right here, right? On the spring, you want to wait for all this to happen. You can trade inside of it, kind of hoping that it creates all of this. But really what you want to do is you want to wait for all of this to happen. You can label it out. Really, you don't need to label it out. You want to see like kind of a small drop, a test. And then on that last one, it makes another 3 drives, really big 3 drives. And then it comes back up. And right here, when it tests the spring, that is the trade that because a lot of people have great risk reward trades, but a lot of people can't hold them because they don't have confidence in the direction of the market. But when you trade with the Wyckoff method, you have a lot more confidence that this is going to extend to your full target, right? And so if you can get into these setups more, it not only raises your win rate probability, but it will raise your risk to reward overall, because you will start to get more out of your setups. You won't just be getting into the market at a random spot. You'll be getting into the market with the big dogs, possibly, it's definitely not 100%. The big dogs sometimes fail their campaigns. So think of it like this, and I'll end on this. The accumulation phase is a campaign, right? And think of it like a warehouse being stocked. The insiders, they're buying at wholesale to then sell to us at retail prices, right? They want to buy it very low and then they want to sell it to us very high. But what they have to do is they have to build an inventory of what they want to sell to us. In this case, we're talking Bitcoin. So the insiders, they need to build as big of an inventory of Bitcoin as they can. Why? Because at some point, there's going to be so many people that want to buy it from them, right? There's going to be so much demand at some point. Think of it like this. If you owned a warehouse, a Nike warehouse, and you have all of these commercials out about Nike that you're coming out with a new line, right? You get Drake on the commercial, you get Beyonce on the commercial, you get all these people, you get Instagram to start promoting you, right? You build a campaign for your next line, right? Your next Nike line that's coming out, right? Or Yeezys or whatever, right? They build a fucking campaign and they get a whole bunch of people interested in it, okay? They are at that stage creating the product, buying it at wholesale. They're able to buy the product super cheap and create it, and then they're going to sell it to people at the retail. They're going to sell it at retail prices, higher prices. But you know what is the worst thing for a wholesaler to do? It's for them to launch a brand new product or the brand new Yeezys and then to run out of supply, for them to not have enough supply to meet the demand. That is the last thing that they want to do, because then price is going to do not what they want it to do, right? So if there is no supply left to sell it to them, they fucked up their campaign, because they want to sell this shit to y'all at the highest price possible. And so they have to legit build this campaign of pricing. Now, have they been building at 30K? Probably. Was this the last spring down at 25K that they needed? Maybe. But in my opinion, if the price is at 60K and it used to be at 5,000 or 3,000, why would they not go build the campaign down there at those prices? That I just can't imagine them really not wanting those prices, because Wall Street are the greediest of the people and they're in it now. So, just keep all of that in mind. The Wyckoff method is not just like an entry. It's not just like a way to trade. It's how these big players position themselves. And once you really understand it, you start to really see these footprints laid out. But that's it for me. That was a long one. Man, people aren't probably going to watch this recording, but if they do, they're going to learn a lot. And if they want to learn more, they need to come join Next Wave. Y'all, I can mentor you and teach you this shit. AB can mentor you and teach you this shit. But that's it. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.